welcome back to this committee once again this year.
Like home.
I know you've been here a number of times this year yet, and we appreciate your cooperation in being here.
I think he enjoys it.
I think he thoroughly enjoys it, Madam Chair. Well, Madam Chair mentioned about bringing toothbrushes and toothpaste and things. I would just remind the administrator that Procter & Gamble P&G is headquartered in my district in Cincinnati. One of their brands is Crest, of course. So,
but they're not a small business. And,
they're not a small business, but we like them nonetheless. Just a couple of things. Going back to the Shirlington limousine issue, isn't the issue in that matter a failure of the contracting officer to find that firm was not responsible? They were not a responsible bidder under the federal acquisition rules?
That's exactly right. That responsibility lies with the contracting officer.
Okay. Thank you. And would you please explain the detailed procedures that the SBA uses in reviewing hub zone applications?
Well, in reviewing a hub zone application, in reviewing a new purchase, okay, if a hub zone company wants to purchase, to sell goods or services to the federal government, first of all, they have to be entered in the contracting registry, the central contracting registry. Then they need to submit information with respect to their payroll, their location, various other information that shows that they qualify for hub zone status, their NAIC codes, various other things. Then the FAR requires that before they actually bid on a contract, they have to attest once again to their eligibility. The new rule we're proposing requires them then to attest one more time to their eligibility before they actually get an award. And then now, based on upgrades to the system, a contracting officer, if he or she puts that data into the federal contracting system as a hub zone firm, and it's not registered as a hub zone firm, it will not take it anymore. So there's a block in the system to validate that. If there is an award, the agency, the SBA, and other firms bidding on the contract have the ability to protest any awards if there's concern that they don't comply with the requirements.
Okay. Thank you. Let me shift gears a little bit here. Would you discuss briefly the constitutional considerations that are required when implementing a gender-based contracting program?
Well, I'm neither a lawyer nor a constitutional scholar, so it's hard for me to get into a whole lot of detail there, but I do know that based on the Adirondack decision a number of years ago, any gender or race-based programs do receive a relatively high level of scrutiny to determine their eligibility for it under the Constitution. But I unfortunately cannot provide for you the criteria or the specific considerations that are undertaken in that process.
Okay. But there are constitutional issues because of previous Supreme Court cases that one has to take into consideration when putting together one of these programs. So you can't necessarily just do what you want to do. You have to really comply with existing case law in order, or it'll be thrown out, or
that's
lawsuits,
true.
et cetera.
That's true.
Next, what steps is the SBA taking to ensure participation by the targeted groups in federal government procurement?
Oh, well, I think we've made a lot of progress on that just in the last number of months. I mentioned a lot of the overview, kind of the oversight issues with recertification, cleaning up the data, and the scorecard. The scorecard, we're actually already beginning to see a response by a number of federal agencies coming to see us to say, we're not happy with the rating we got. What can we do to improve it? In addition, specifically for categories that they are not hitting, for example, if an agency isn't hitting Hub Zone or SDB, we are working with those agencies, giving them electronic tools, giving them other support specifically to help them hit those numbers. We've rolled out a new electronic tool that helps agencies input their location, the NAIC code, and the preference group, and they can get a list of companies that qualify. That's just been in place for a few months. That's a whole new tool that's out there. Once again, we've retrained our entire field network to do more outreach to the individuals, to the small businesses, and refocused our PCRs to focus entirely on working with those federal agencies to hit those numbers. And it's oversight, it's technology, and it's really kind of arms and legs and better training for our people.
Thank you. Do you know what the track record is, or the failure rate, or the success rate of those firms once they leave the 8A program? Or is that something that your agency could provide for us?
I don't know the failure rates, and we may have that statistic. I just don't know.
I see your staff members nodding that we can
do.
get that provided. So I'd like to get that at some point, as detailed as possible, so
Okay.
we can consider that as well. And finally, just one more question. Has anyone ever examined, to your knowledge, the cost-benefit ratio of these programs? In other words, is the government getting sufficient return in terms of job growth, that type of thing, given the resources expended to operate all these programs?
I don't know that review has ever taken place. I know in many of our programs we'll look at jobs created. I know we do that for our lending programs. I'm looking back at my staff to see if historically. That's right. With HubZone, we have jobs created, right? Yeah. We have jobs created for HubZone, but more broadly, I don't think we've actually done a hard cost-benefit analysis.
Would you have your staff check and see if there are any studies out there that we may have access to? I'm not suggesting we spend more money for studies like that at this time, but I'd be interested to see if perhaps some
Would the
colleges or
gentleman
something.
yield?
Yes, I'd be happy to. do
Maybe the Inspector General report has some of the data, since they concluded that after 3 years, those HubZone companies are ineligible. So in terms of job creation, we question how many.
So if we could get that, thank you very much, and reclaiming my time,
Thank you.
and then yielding it back. Thank you.